So where we left off, our group consisting of Matt, Martin, Kalain, Vercingetorix, and Aerolith, Zyma, and Halfstep have traveled to the canyon floor. They encountered a single kobold and an orc fighting over some small amount of treasure in this region here near the number 15 on this map, and they have decided, after discussing with the kobold who invited them to their lair here at letter A, they have decided to continue on into this cave number 15 to the southeast here. As they enter the dark and foul-smelling cave, this is what they see lit up by their lantern. And I'm also marking off, Kalain has put away his mace, and he is going to retrieve one of his torches. So I'm marking that off on his sheet right now. He has lit up a torch. Let me get my dungeon time tracker available here. Okay. A large cavern, dark, with stalactites and stalagmites lining the floor and the ceiling. Above and below, there is several large rubble piles of scree and debris that have fallen from the cave ceiling. The air is quite damp here, actually. It does have a smell, it does have a foul smell, as if rotting refuse and garbage further back into the cave. What they see in this cavern, about 50 foot by 50 foot, is 3 passageways. One looks to be leading into another cavern area, into the southwest and southeast. 2 wide passageways with natural stone steps leading up into the darkness. Vercingetorix pulls out his 10-foot pole and begins prodding and poking around at the rubble pile. Aerolith wanders off towards about 10 or 20 foot to take a look at the cavern to the west here. Everyone else is just slowly moving, watching where they step, and listening into the darkness. Aerolith reports, "I see structure," he whispers. "There's some kind of unnatural structure this way. Perhaps we should check this out." And all agree to move towards the west. They come into a 30-foot by 30-foot cavern, which is just opened up from the main cavern to what looks to be an old campsite. Very old, not fresh at all. There are scattered remains of humans and orcs, bones, armor, camp supplies that have not been looted, mostly just tatters and rags at this point. Give me a second, I'm looking at my map here. There appears to be, as I said, a mixture of human and orc remains, as if some kind of battle went on here. After rummaging around for 10 minutes, slowly prodding with the 10-foot pole, our party has discovered nothing of value here, except for the information that this was an orc, what appears to be an orc raid of some kind on an adventuring party. There are 3 dead adventurers remaining, 2 humans and a dwarf. but they have been dead for some time, several months, and they are skeletal. Aerolith reports that he hears trickling of water distinct from the occasional dripping of water from the cave ceiling towards the south in here. Mad Martin whispers, though his whispers are still picked up through the cavernous room that he's in, the cave, and carries and echoes. Perhaps this is what our little kobold friend was speaking of. Let us journey south of here carefully and discover. So they do. They begin carefully wandering south. I'm going to take off another 10-minute turn here. The time is now 4:30 p.m. And what do they see? The short and wide cavern corridor opens up into a smaller cave about 30 or 40 foot square. It is about 30 foot high, and in the western side of the wall there is a wall full of moss with water trickling down, forming a pool at its base. And in the lantern and torchlight, our adventurers can see there are 3 more skeletal remains lying in the shallow pool. The pool itself is only about 6 inches deep. The skeletal remains have tatters of clothing and rusty armor. Are we going to investigate this? And how much closer are we going to? Okay. So, character number 4, which is, we have Vercingetorix and Colleen up front. We have Zyma and Half-Step in the middle. Half-Step is the first one to inch her way forward. And she says, I see one of those bodies is holding something in its hand. Let me have a look. And before Mad Martin or Vercingetorix has a chance to persuade her not to go too close, she walks forward, reaches down, and attempts to grab what looks to be some kind of cylinder in the hand, the skeletal hand of one of these corpses. And immediately, the corpse animates and grabs Half-Step. Let's see if she's surprised. She is not surprised, so she is going to get a dexterity check to see if she is grabbed and held. So let me get her card out here. Half-Step has an agility score of 10, which is not great. So she's going to have to roll a 10 or under. She does. She passes, and she is not grappled by this skeleton. However, the 3 corpses animate, rise from the shallow pool, draw weapons, and immediately begin attacking our group. Okay. We're going to roll for initiative. Remember, green are the enemies and red indicates our group. Our group gets to go first. They rolled higher. So, we're doing movement first. Half-Step is going to get the hell away from these animated skeletons. She's going to move her full movement at 25 foot. Sorry, at 20 foot. 5, 10, 15, 20. And she rushes back behind Vercingetorix for protection. Kalain is going to attempt to turn undead. As soon as he sees these abominations rise unnaturally, he produces his holy symbol and gives, "By Veridicus, you are banished. You must flee before the righteousness of Veridicus, the true God." Give me a second here. I need to look up the rules for turning. Turn unholy. So he has to make a check, which is a spell check. He has a +2. Sorry, that's the wrong dice. He makes a d20 check. Only a total, that's a roll of a 4, so a total of 6. He fails. The skeletons continue rising as they're drawing their weapons, and they look with hollow eyes straight at Kalain, who has tried to turn them with his holy symbol. Next, Vercingetorix. He draws his sword. He drops his 10-foot pole, draws his sword and shield this round. Zyma, she is going to move, and she is going to get a better vantage point near the front lines, but off to the side over here. Mad Martin and his dog are staying back and out of this, and Aerolith is going to position himself by moving off to the side. Maybe he can get a shot with his bow as he draws his bow out. Alright, the skeleton's turn. They are going to rush. One is definitely looking straight at Kalain. One is chasing after Half Step this turn. And one is going straight for Vercingetorix here. But since that is their full movement this turn, we're going to roll for initiative once more. Skeletons get to go. The one attacking Kalain with his sword, he rolls a 7 on the dice and misses. Kalain dodges out of the way. The second one attacking Half Step gets a natural 20 on the dice, and he is going to hit her for 5 hit points of damage. There's nothing she can do about that. And I'm going to quickly look up, since that was a critical hit, what kind of critical that's going to be. So these are 2 hit dice creatures. I'm going to give them a roll of a D. Let's just do a D8. 1. So not only does he hit Half Step for 5 points of damage, unnatural boils sprout spontaneously around the wound. These are extremely painful to the touch and automatically inflict 1 point of damage in any round where the character exerts themselves physically, such as running, jumping, or fighting. The boils can only be healed with magical healing, so the skeleton smacks Half Step. She loses 5 points of damage. And also, I'm going to go ahead and count it this round. Boils at her wound site appear, and they're very painful, so she is down to 5 HP. Okay. And the third skeleton is going to attack Vercingetorix. Rolling only an 8 on the dice, that is not going to be enough to punch through his shield and his armor. Our turn. Kalain, okay, we're going to do movement first. I'm going to say Zyma is going to position herself to get a flanking shot with her weapon, her melee weapon. Missiles, Aerolith. He's going to fire a D6 here. He is going to fire an arrow at the one that hit half step. Natural 20, doing 3 points of damage. Let's see what his critical is. Sorry, these are moving so slow. These combats are a little bit slow, but I like these critical hits because they're kind of fun. So his critical dice is 1d6 on table 2. Criticals. Table 2. 1d6. And then number 5. So his arrow blow pierces the foe's kidneys, then inflict 3d3 damage. Well, this skeleton doesn't have kidneys. And the skeleton's going to be stunned for 1 round, but I am going to roll 3d3s. That's a 2. That's a 1, so an extra 3, extra 4 damage on top of the damage the arrow did. So I'm imagining this arrow did puncture the skeleton's spinal column and is sticking straight out of its spine from the back. A total of 3 damage, but 6 damage total. I'm sorry, that was wrong. I did 3 plus 4. That's 7 damage total on this skeleton. Got it. The skeleton is still very much alive. Alright. Kalain is going to try to heal half step right next to him. He rolls a 17 on the dice, and since she is the same alignment as him, she gets healing in the form of since she's just level 1, 1d6, she gets 5 points of hit points back, so that's great. And her boils are magically healed as well. So she's back up to 10. Wonderful. Spells. Mad Martin is still going to hold his spells, but he is going to sick his dog Ulf into the fray upon this one here that is attacking Kalain as a distraction, hoping that the skeleton misses him because Kalain is distracted by healing half step this round. Melee. I think half step has had about enough, and she is going to try to withdraw even further for more protection back the way she came here. She's not running, fleeing in panic, but the skeleton is going to get a hit chance in on her as she flees. The skeleton rolls a 7. He does not hit her as she runs. Alright, the rest of melee. We got Vercingetorix, and that is the last character. So red dice. Vercingetorix gets a deed die. Yes. So that's a 14 on the dice, plus 2 for his strength, plus 2 for his deed die. Yeah, he's hitting the skeleton for 7 plus 1, 8 damage. And that's the one in front of him. It is not quite dead, but he lops this skeleton's skull straight off, but the skeleton is still standing and swinging its blade towards Vercingetorix, somehow without a head. Alright. Rolling for initiative. It's equal, so I am going to roll again until somebody wins. Mad Martin's team wins the initiative this round. So movement, no one is moving this round. Half Step is staying right where she is at the edge of the cavern. Missiles. Aerolith is going to try to shoot an arrow at the same one that he wounded. Only rolling a 10 on the dice. But he gets a +3 missile attack because of his agility. Plus his racial bonus. So that's a 13 total, which is enough to hit the skeleton And it is not enough to kill it though, with only 3 damage. He shoots another arrow. It chips off one of the bones of the skeleton's ribs and goes flying, but the skeleton is still standing. Alright, magic. Magic this turn. I'm gonna say Mad Martin is holding his spells. He feels pretty confident about this, and he does not want to risk any kind of mishap or corruption here. So melee this turn, we've got 3 going into melee. We got Kalain with his mace on the one directly in front of him, rolling a 5 on the dice, misses. We've got Zyma with their Zijari stick, rolling a 15, 1 damage on the one that is uninjured. Definitely not enough to kill it. But since she hit, she gets to roll again with the same stick. Rolling a natural 20. Holy crap. I swear these dice aren't weighted. I tested them, I promise. So getting full damage with her Zijari stick. She is, let's see what her crit table is. Zyma, where are you? Your crit is a 1d10 on table 2. That's cool. So she gets to roll a d10. On top of the 6 damage, she also is the same one. Somehow pierces the skeleton's kidneys, which doesn't make any sense, but she gets 3d3 extra damage. So 6 plus 7 total, 8, 10 total damage. Yeah, she completely, with her maneuvers, she hits with the blunt end of her Zijari stick and then swings the blade around and completely decimates this skeleton. Decimates, I don't know if that's the right word for it, but bones go flying everywhere in a skeletal explosion. Alright, Alf the dog is not in melee anymore, so he's just going to stand there. The movement round is over. So we have Vercingetorix left. So he gets his deed die. Only rolling a 2 on the table, which at least is not a fumble, but it's definitely going to miss. Okay. Skeleton's turn. They are undead. They have top morale. They're not going to flee the fight. I'm going to see which one this skeleton wants to fight. Kalain, Mad Martin, or Vercingetorix. Oh, he rushes straight towards Mad Martin with his weapon in hand. He decides to take a swing. Getting a 16 on the dice for 7 damage. If Mad Martin was a normal wizard, he'd be dead right now. But because of his familiar, he has extra hit points. But it's still not looking pretty for him. Okay. And the skeleton in front of Vercingetorix is just going to swing at him. Rolling only a 6 on the dice, and he does not hit. So this is just a swing and a miss party for Vercingetorix and the skeleton he's fighting. Alright, we're going to roll initiative. Once again, Red Team or Mad Martin's team wins initiative. And let's see what we are going to do. Movement. Zyma's no longer, well, she is in melee range, but the dog is no longer in melee range. He's going to rush to the side of his master to try to attack, but that's going to be next round. Zyma, let's see, Aerolith is going to shoot an arrow, so let's do that first. He sees the breach in the wall, in the shield wall, in the combat wall, and he sees the danger behind him in the back lines with Mad Martin. He's going to shoot an arrow at this already wounded one. Rolling a 10 on the dice once again, but he gets a +3 to his melee with a 6 damage. It kills him. He shoots an arrow straight through the skull, and the skeleton collapses on the ground. And last, Vercingetorix with his broadsword, rolling only a 5, once again swinging and missing. I did say Zyma gets a, she has her Zijari stick out. She swings around, rolling a 19 on the dice for 3 damage. Still not quite enough to kill this skeleton, but pieces and chips of bones have been flying everywhere with this Zijari stick in her hand. Since she hit, she gets to roll again. Yes. With a 17 on the die, she swings around expertly, handling her two-handed melee weapon, the Zijari stick. As she hits the skeleton with the blunt end, she swings it once again with the bladed end and cuts this skeleton's spine in 2, and it collapses to the ground. And all is quiet once again. So the time is now 4:40 p.m. Mad Martin falls to a knee, holding his wound that the skeleton inflicted upon him. Kalain rushes to his side, and he says, "Mage, let me take a look at that and pray. Perhaps Viridicus will spare your life." And he does so with his +2. I believe that is going to be enough, because yes, Mad Martin is the same alignment, and he only gets I think a D4, 1D4. He rolled a 3 on the D4, so Mad Martin does heal for 3 points of damage. Let me reflect that. He's back up to 12, so he's looking okay. Half-Step re-enters the cavern, and she picks up the cylinder that the skeleton, which attacked her and chased her, was holding. Aerolith shouts at her. He says, "Hold on. Don't touch it. Let me take a look at it on the ground." And he is going to cast Detect Magic. He actually gets a D30 to cast that spell because of his mercurial effect. So he rolls a 19. That is definitely enough. I'm not going to look up the rules here, but that is enough to determine what this is. He says, this is a scroll case, and he pops it open, and there is a single scroll inside that is glowing with with magic. But he rolled high enough, he can tell this is not arcane magic. And Kalain comes forward and he says, "Then what is it? Is it divine? Remember our deal. All divine paraphernalia goes to Viridicus." So he reaches out and takes the scroll and unfurls it and looks, and sure enough, it is a scroll with 2 spells on it of the same kind. 2 Cure Light Wounds. He asks Mad Martin if he would like him to cast one of these spells, one of these scroll spells on him. Let's see what Mad Martin wants to do. 1 to 3 he does, 4 to 6 he does not. No. Mad Martin says, I'm quite alright. I assure you. It's just a scratch, and I will get better. I personally do not worship Viridicus, so I do not feel comfortable with that. So they begin looking at the water, which is on the western side of this cavern here. And Mad Martin says, "Be careful. It looks like it's clean, fresh water. It's running over the moss. But why were those bodies dead in that pool? I believe we may need some testing on this first, but not among us. I do not wish to subject any of our group to such human experimentation, let's say." Kalain has an idea, though. He desires to pour some in a water skin. He's going to dump his water out, pour some in a water skin, and dump a vial of holy water in the water skin, and to see if it sanctifies it. But I'm taking a vote right here. So 2 or 4, 1 is against. Yeah. The majority say that sounds good to us. Let's do that. So he does so, pours the holy water in his water skin, and then fills it up with the water running down the rocks and into this pool. And then he says a short prayer and drinks it, and nothing happens. He says it feels good. It's cold and refreshing. So Half Step steps forward, and she takes a small handful. She cups her hand and dips it in the pool at the bottom, and drinks a small portion of it, just sips, and nothing happens to her. And she says, I think it's okay, and it's good. We've found a water source of sorts. Mad Martin says, very good. Well, this is going better than expected, I suppose. Shall we continue searching the rest of this cavern in which we find ourselves? Perhaps we can find old Spindle Legs, and perhaps even try to reason with this creature that this kobold was so afraid of. So that's what they're going to do. I'm going to say this whole thing took about 10 minutes with the water, and they are going to travel back north from the direction they came. And this time they're going to decide, do they want to go to the west or to the east? 1 to 3 to west, 2 for the west, 5 out of 6 vote going towards the west here. So they begin traveling up these natural stone steps. I'm going to say that takes one more turn to decide. It is now 5 p.m.